Hi, hello, it's Lillian. Welcome back to the Knits by Lillian podcast. Okay, it's still summer, I know, obviously. Very warm, very humid, as you can tell by my round hair. But I've fully dived into fall cast-ons. I've got colorwork, I've got cables, I've got sweaters. I'm sick of doing little summer shirts, even though they're fun, even though I love them. I want to knit heavy sweaters, I want to knit oversized garments, and I've started. So without further ado, grab a bev. I have the remnants of an iced latte here, and let's crack into it because I'm so excited. I'm gonna back up for this, okay? I'm so excited to show you my first finished object, and my first finished object in a while too. And guess what? Guess who's back to designing? Oh yeah, baby, it looks so good. Okay, so let me tuck in my unwoven in ends here. We've got the first thing I've designed in quite some time. I was getting a little frustrated with my design process, and so I took a step back, and now I'm so excited to be doing it again. So we have colorwork yoke here, top down round yoke. I feel like it's coming across as more gray on camera, but it's a very dark green. This yarn is my all-time favorite wool, Juniper Moon Farms merino. It's so cheap for being 100% wool. It's so easy to work with. Stitches blend very well. I think it's great for color work. And you can get like a 400 meter ball for like $15. I think it's great. Super even on the color work. Should I put it on so you can see? So, okay, I have been seeing a lot of color work with kind of a repeating motif like this throughout the yoke. And I really wanted to do it. And I love having the flower kind of at the bottom. I think the ones I've seen have been like all flowers or all leaves, and I love the nature elements, but I wanted to add my own twist. So here we've got this. My tech editor actually has this pattern right now. So she's working on getting this graded for me. I have a couple sizes done, but I need an expert on it. We'll pretend I put it on. How good does this look? Like, it's showing up on camera so well. And it's really, honestly, it is not a bad colorwork pattern to work up. So I did short rows at the bottom after my colorwork. So the short rows are worked kind of back here underneath. I don't love it when patterns do colorwork and short rows at the top, because then what you get is, here's the back, right? And here's the front. So you can see that the color work goes all the way up to this folded collar. If you do short rows at the top, a lot of times it's hard to work it into the pattern of the color work. And that's not a diss against any designers that do that. Like, I had trouble doing that, so I didn't do that on this one. But you'll get a gap in the main color where the short rows are worked in the main color for usually an inch or so, and then the color work starts below that. And it's just not as cohesive as the way that I wanted this. In my vision, it's not as cohesive, because when you look at it from the top, this is kind of funny. I think I posted a picture on my Instagram of the sweater from the top, but I just kind of love how the points come together like that. I think it's really fun. Not that when you're wearing it, anybody's really gonna see it from that angle, but I just thought it was a fun detail. So hopefully I'll have a test call out for this. I'm gonna give myself some time. I just sent it to my tech editor, so in maybe the next month, maybe two, something like that. But here's what we're working with, and I love this. I think there's a ton of yarns you can do this with. I'm blanking on the gauge, but I want to say it's right around 20 stitches, so I think it's very, very easily replicable. But I'm so excited about this. I think it looks amazing. It's still a little bit too warm to wear it, but I'm really excited. I already have other color schemes I want to do. I have, the way my hair blew back when I put that down, I've done other sweaters in this yarn that are burnt orange. Let me grab one, actually. For example, this is a Sari Nordlund pattern. Oh, she's creased. I'm blanking on the name of the pattern, but I'll link it below. But this is the same yarn, and look at how good that color work looks. So also a top-down round yoke, but in a very different, obviously, color work style. So this is just to show how well this yarn works up. And I kind of want to do, I have some dark blue in this too, but I think the orange and the green look really nice together, and I almost want to do like a tricolor situation where the leaves are green and then maybe the flowers orange or something. But like these two colors together, yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so I'm really excited about this. I love the way it turned out. keep your eyes peeled. I don't like that phrase. Keep your eyes peeled for a test call. I'll let you know. It'll be everywhere. It'll be here. It'll be on my Instagram, but probably not for a little while. And seen. Okay, so while we're talking about color work, I have cast on another project. So this is the Winter Garden pullover by Marianne Stevens. First of all, are you kidding me? Like, are you joking? So this is 2 alpaca yarns. The lighter one is Drops Alpaca and the darker one is Berroco. So it's not the same yarn, but the gauge matches up really well. Some cool braid details. Okay, so here's the tea on this. This is supposed to be a bottom-up sweater worked in the round. Clearly this is one piece. So where do I even start with this? I cast this pattern on twice with 2 separate yarns. Problem 1 was that I don't think I had the right yarn. Problem 2 is that I was having a really hard time getting gauge. And thirdly, I saw someone on Instagram who did this sweater like very fitted and cropped in this charcoal and sort of beige gray, which I just love how the dark background looks. Like kind of inverted. I feel like a lot of times people will do the darker color as the quote unquote accent. So I loved that look. Long story short, I couldn't get the yarn that I wanted to use to work with gauge, and I couldn't get the construction to work the way I wanted it to. So I'm using all of the pattern charts. There's only 2 sizes included in the pattern, and they're both pretty big for me. So what I've done is I'm gonna do a flat. I don't mind working color work flat, so ergo, here we are. So I'm gonna do a front and a back panel, and then say the color work chart is yay big, I'm doing like the center of it. So after this floral situation, there should be another of this braid on the outside here, and then like a couple more stitches of some other section. And then obviously it's working around, so then it continues around like that. So I cut out that to make it the size that I want. So this should actually fit me perfectly. This is the back here. And then honestly, I stopped reading the pattern. I went so far off, mostly because even if I did hit gauge, it was still gonna be a bigger garment than I wanted. And last year, I knitted a couple of big, like very oversized colorwork sweaters, and I didn't really wear them. So I gave one of them to my mom, who really likes it, but I knew that if I did it too big, I wasn't gonna get any use out of it. Okay, so I'm doing a front and a back panel. My plan is to sew them together. The initial pattern had steeked sleeves, so where you knit like a tube up, reinforce the armhole section, and then cut it. Usually works fine with wool because wool is very grippy, and so knitting won't unravel the same way horizontally as it will vertically. So it's not really like losing your stitches, especially if you reinforce it. However, alpaca, which is what I'm using, is a little bit slipperier, which is why it wears so well. It's got really lovely drape, but it won't steek as well. So that was another reason that I went for a not steeked version. I am using the charts and basically nothing else from the pattern. So I added my own short rows in and my own collar shaping. So I want to do a little bit more of a collar. The collar in the picture has this band motif around the whole neck. So it kind of has like a pseudo mock neck-esque vibe, except I didn't want it to be like standing up quite as vertically as it was. So I cut down a little bit into the back here and did a little bit of back neck shaping and quite a bit of front neck shaping. So hopefully that means that band will lay flat, since I've allowed some more space in the front and on the sides, rather than doing kind of, sorry, I think I have something on my eye here, rather than doing a really minimal shaping around the collar, which then causes that fabric to be pushed up farther and then the collar to stand up. So I have made countless modifications here, but I do think it's working really well. I actually have the front panel done as well. It's blocking, surprise, going on a trip to Iceland. And so I need colorwork sweater for that. Right? Like legally, I have to wear my own knits if I'm going somewhere chilly. So I I'm really excited about the way this is going. Honestly, because I cut down the size of the fabric I'm making, this went pretty quickly. So I'm not too worried about getting it done in time. And I'm really, this braid situation I love because it kind of, to me, it kind of gives the same vibe as a cable. I actually knitted a vest, let's see, probably about this time last year, that's color work and intarsia. So it's different blocked sections that each one of them is 2 colors. So like the center is burnt orange and something, and then the side panels are like a light green and a dark green. And it kind of has a similar structure to this where there's like one center color work like this and then different ones on the side. And so I really liked that structured look. Thought that was really fun. So I think the sleeve continues in this section from the side, this kind of floral, I don't know what you would call that, like swirl situation. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's working out really well. The fabric feels amazing. Like, I don't know how to show drape on camera, but like it drapes so well. And so I think it's gonna be really, really wearable. And I'm excited about this. I've been having a really good time with this. I forgot how fun it was to knit color work, and it feels a little silly because it's like the beginning of August. But here we are. She's slaying. Okay, so speaking of trip to Iceland, not only did I decide that I need a sweater for it, I decided I must knit my partner a sweater as well, because no one can go with me and not be sweatered up. So I cast this on just a couple days ago. This is, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock worsted. So if the Juniper Moon Farms is my favorite wool, this is probably my second favorite wool. It's a little bit pricier, but it knits up so well. So this is a Sari Nordlund pattern. Yeah, get a good look at that. Sorry, there's so many construction trucks driving by. I don't know what's going on. We're just gonna keep going. So we've got all over cables. It's a drop shoulder. This is the top of the back. Kind of a, I'm not sure if you would call it like a horseshoe cable. And then kind of these panels in between to break that up. And so I love this. I think it looks so good. I've started the front panel here, and then here's the detail I really like too. So once you come around the front, one of these, so there's these little kind of bar sections in between the cables, and then that's what the collar is framed by. So you're making your increases on the inside of that little, I don't know what you would call it, that little stitch portion. So then also ignore my chipped nails, okay? Don't look at them. I'm gonna tuck them in. But that panel comes around, and then you're gonna pick up stitches for the collar here. So then it's gonna be framed really nicely by this, and then that's gonna come down to meet, I think, in the center, and then you'll cast on for, I think, this part across the center, and then these two will be kind of circling down like that. I think it's a really, really nice detail. I think things like that are what make sweaters go from being hand knitted to like professional grade looking. That and then a folded collar, I think, really are details that go a long ways. And if you have a really nice bind off. Those are, in my opinion, some things that kind of level up the intentionality of the design. I really like it. I think it looks amazing. And then, yeah, the cables just, they look so good. So I'm actually filming a different video on this. I have so many people ask me all the time how long it takes me to make a sweater. And I usually estimate, but I have no idea like how long it takes me to make anything, because depending on how much time I have, how much I'm working, sometimes I can do a big cabled sweater in a couple weeks. Sometimes it takes me a long time to do something stockinette that I think would be less time. It depends a lot on my schedule, which is very unpredictable. So I'm timing how long it takes me to knit this. We're done with the back portion because the front's gonna be a little bit longer for that drop shoulder. And then we're into the first, so I'm done with the first front. We have to do the same thing on the other side. And then those are gonna be joined, and then the front will be worked down. This is 4 hours of work. I was kind of surprised by that, but it is pretty intensive cable work. Now, it's not difficult per se, because something that Sari Nordlund does very well on her patterns too, I can't recommend her patterns enough, to be honest. If you are knitting a lot of petite knit patterns and you want either something that's a little bit more fitted, because petite knit patterns tend to be quite oversized, or you're looking for more cables or more color work, I would say try Sari Nordlund, because I think petite knit is a really good kind of introductory pattern source for a lot of your more basic staple type garments that are a lot of stockinette or ribbing or something like that. And then if you're looking for something a little bit more, I don't want to say creative because I think Petite Knit is a really good designer, but things that are a little bit more unique or textured, Sari Nordlund. Okay, something she does really well is that even though we have cables that are repeated at different times, each time you work a row, all the cables are on the same row. So these are worked, I think, every 6 or every 8 rows, and then I think it's every 8th, and then the smaller cable is every 4th row. So you're not working the big cables every row, but every time you are working the big cables, you're working all the cables. So you don't really have to keep track of like if this one was on every 3rd and this one was every 5th and this one was every 7th or something like that, where you're kind of trying to catch up where you were at. But sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. I really like this pattern. I think it's gonna turn out great. Excuse me. And I'm really having a good time with it. I haven't knitted cables in so long and I'm loving it. I also really like this color. It's kind of, I feel like it's showing up white on camera, but it's sort of a like heathered beige. I don't know, it has like more depth to it than I thought it was going to, so I love it. Okay, I have to go sneeze again. Okay, we're back. I survived the sneeze fit. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and time how long it takes me to do that sweater, and then ideally one that's a little bit more simple or maybe like a bigger, thicker texture, just to kind of give people an average of like, this is what a bigger sweater takes, or something with more color work or cables, and this is what something we're stockinette, just to kind of see where we're at. So if you have any questions about that, or if you have suggestions for another pattern for me to do, let me know. I love when you guys have questions about knitting or about how I started knitting, or you know, how long it takes to make things. So I'd love to at some point do like a Q&A video, like how did I start knitting? How did I start kind of self-drafting patterns and designing? Where do I get creative inspo from? That kind of thing. So if you have questions like that, let me know, because I would love to, I don't know if you can tell, but I love to yap, and I would love to discuss some more of this. Also, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with pop culture, but there's someone on TikTok going around right now who's doing live streams dressed up as the Lorax. It sounds crazy, but it's honestly really funny, and so much of it is like just good ad-libbed comedy, and it's making me want to branch out and do some more like knitting comedy videos, like knitting memes. So let me know if you think I should start making knitting memes, because personally, I really do. And like skits, I think it would be so funny, and I think there's so many like, the ideas are like hitting me right now. I feel like there's so many niche like knitting memes that would be really funny. Okay, let me know. Or let me know if I'm being annoying. Actually, if you think I'm being annoying, keep that to yourself. That ship has sailed. Okay, so cables, color work. Okay, so in my last video, I was talking about summer patterns, things that I was inspired by for summer. And before I found out that I was going to Iceland, I cast on a couple of them. And I started the Aigues top by Audrey Berroco, sorry. And then this is where we're at with this. So this stitch pattern is so cool to me. I love, let me see if I can spread it out. It's definitely not blocked, so bear with me. I love the detail here though. And I feel like this is just so unique. Like you don't see stitch patterns like this every day, and I love it. This is also a free pattern, so download it immediately. I convinced everyone at my knit night to download this pattern. I was like, you guys, it's so fun, it's free, get on this. So I was feeling very excited about this pattern. It's got a little tiny bit of cable and a little tiny bit of lace and then some ribbing. And I really like it. I love also how the top of it is ribbed. If you look at the cover photo for my last video, you'll see this pattern as one of the ones on the cover, and I copied exactly the yarn color that she used. Specifically because on Ravelry there was a picture of someone on the beach, this girl wearing like long white linen pants and this shirt in this color, and I thought it would be such a great pairing. Basically I was like, I want to copy everything about that. And she has like long blonde hair, and I was like, wow, should I grow my curly hair back out? I definitely should not, because it's pretty fluffy even though it's short. But once upon a time I had long hair, and I was like, that's the first time in probably years that I've thought maybe I should grow my hair out again. I won't. If you know me in real life, you know I'm lying. I'm a bob girl for the rest of my life. I got a bob in like 2019 and I never looked back. You know, my friends at the time were like, there was long hair Lillian and now there's short hair Lillian. Like, I'm two different species that evolved. But we've got a cotton linen blend here. I'm so sorry, I have no idea what this yarn is, but I'll link it below. I picked it up at a random yarn shop in Detroit when I was there for work. So shout out to the lady who let me wander around her yarn shop for 45 minutes, who I also convinced to download this pattern. She was lovely, but it was so funny. She kept trying to convince me to get yarn with like sequins in it, which, love that for you, girl, but not the vibe we're going for at all. She was like, are you looking for anything specific? And I said, yeah, cotton, beachy, maybe like a sport DK. And she was like, girl, I got you, and comes back with the thickest, sparkliest, glitteriest yarn. It was so funny. She was so sweet. And then the other woman there was like, stop handing her this. And then she was trying to convince me to knit. She's casting on like a big oversized like Christmassy cardigan to use the sparkly yarn, and she was like, okay, but what if you abandoned that project and then you did the sparkle cardigan with me? Anyway, she's gonna look fab at her yarn shop Christmas party, but I thought it was so funny. But I really like this yarn. I think it's working up really well. I'm trying really hard to knit a lot tighter than I usually do. So the whole top of this is twisted rib, so it was a little bit tough to get through that. Oh my god, it's really showing up on my chipped nails here. Because I want to say there's linen in this yarn too. It's very slippery, and on metal needles I was kind of struggling with it, but it works up really well when you get to the lace section, because I think it shows kind of the eyelet portion really well, and it looks structured but drapey, if that makes sense. I feel like it's not going to be the most pleasant like yarn on hand feeling to knit, but I think it's going to look and wear great, which I'm fine with. Not everything has to be. I feel like people talk about process versus product knits all the time, which is a really interesting conversation to me, because some people knit exclusively, sorry, I'm having the worst allergies ever this year. Some people knit exclusively things that they enjoy knitting, and some people knit exclusively things that they enjoy wearing. And so it's so interesting for me to hear. So comment below which one, or if both you are, was that the best way to phrase that? Comment which one you prefer, or which one you prioritize, because I feel like I am like 50-50. Some things I'll knit, like this color work, I chose alpaca because I knew it would be really nice to knit with, but this cable, the yarn is a little bit thicker than the needles that I want it to be working on, so it's not the most pleasant to knit with, but I know it's gonna turn out the way I want it to once it's blocked and everything. I wanted it to be a little bit denser because it's for wearing outside. Okay, so similarly, I chose this yarn because I think it's gonna have a really nice end product, but yeah, it's not the most pleasant to work with. I find that a lot more with plant fibers too, because I am a really loose knitter. And so a lot of times I'll have trouble with like a linen or a bamboo yarn just because I feel like it's really slipping. Now I've learned how to really intentionally manipulate my gauge, especially in the last few years since I've been designing a little bit more, and I've had to be really conscious of keeping a gauge consistent throughout when I'm making multiple samples of a design, or if I'm working up part of a sample for someone else, things like that. I used to knit, I had one setting and it was loose and that was it. And I think working with color work has really helped with that too, because I knit continental. I hold the yarn, I'm right-handed, I'm knitting along, I hold the yarn in my left hand, and like along with the needle. Yeah. And if I'm doing color work, I'll hold both yarns in my left hand while I'm knitting. I know some people, I want to learn the way to do like one yarn in your left and one yarn in your right, but that really screws up my tension. Anyway, I think that taught me how to knit a little bit like more consistent and tighter. Because yeah, a lot of times if I'm test knitting or if I'm knitting a pattern, I end up going down multiple needle sizes because I feel like my gauge is so loose. So I'm working on that. I think this has been a really good practice in consistently knitting tighter. And yeah, I think it looks really good. I think the stitches look even. I mean, we'll be able to tell after it's blocked because The yarn overs I feel like are always hard to gauge, but I really like this. I think it looks cool. I haven't really knitted anything like this. I talked about last time when I was initially discussing this pattern how I'm not the biggest fan of wearing t-shirts, knitted t-shirts, just because I personally don't find them comfortable having like that added fabric in the armpit. If it's summer, I want no sleeves. I want shouldies out for the summer. So I think this like pseudo cap sleeve, kind of wider shoulder, spam call. I think the pseudo sleeve wider shoulder is a nice in between. Okay. The unknown number left me a 6-second voicemail of them just breathing into the phone. Thanks, I'm setting that as my ringtone. Okay, my last whip. This is from the vault, okay? So back in the winter, this is actually embarrassing how long I put this on hold for. Back in the winter, I cast on a pattern called the Florens Flettegenser. It's patterned in Norwegian. It's a free pattern, but it's only available in Norwegian. So I've been using Google Translate to figure out the pattern. And this is where we're at. It actually, so I've blocked what I have here. I want it to be really cropped, so I think I'm at the point where I can add my bottom hem ribbing. We've got cables all over the entire thing. It's a raglan. And then this big chunky folded collar. So how cool is this? I mean, this is so, okay, it looks tiny, but I promise it stretches out. This is the epitome of chic to me, okay? I feel like there was a time when I was scared to knit with color. And there was a time much more recently where I was afraid to knit anything that I would consider to be too much. So something with too many accents. Think a texture and a bright color, a texture and a big turtleneck. So I've got all of that together, and the only way that I'm compromising and trying to like tone it down a little bit is by making it fitted and cropped. So I don't want anything huge and oversized. I want it to be my size. I want it to fit, not like 0 ease, but like maybe an inch of positive ease. Like I want it to fit, okay? And I think it's looking great. So this yarn is Berroco Vintage. It's a wool acrylic blend. And I know some people really will jump down your throat for knitting with acrylic, but the reality is that acrylic yarn is cheaper and some people don't have a bunch of money to spend on wool. That being said, if you do have finances, like obviously I feel like knitting with a natural fiber or naturally ethically sourced fiber is your best bet for, you know, sustainability, slow fashion, but also for how long your garment will last. However, I had very little faith in this project working, mostly because I didn't have anybody translate it for me. I just kind of hoped for the best with Google Translate. So I wanted a yarn that was really affordable and that was going to be really reliable and wasn't going to break the bank because I thought it wasn't going to work. But I think it's working, which is crazy. And I honestly, I don't think I've really knitted something this bright, at least for myself, but I kind of love it. Like I have a shirt that's this color. Oh no, I just got it stuck to my necklace. I have a shirt that's this color and I feel like a lot of people comment on it when I'm wearing it, and I feel like it really, I don't know, I do like it with my complexion, if you will. Somebody comment about color theory, which blue is better, the navy or this? But yeah, I think it's gonna look cool and I think it's gonna look unique, and it's not something that I would typically make, which is exciting. I've got 3 more skeins of yarn left and I've just got the sleeves and the hem to go, so I think we should be good. But I mean, it's so bright, it's crazy. I feel like I want to show you a picture of like the sweaters that I usually wear, because I'm looking at them right now. It's beige, burnt orange, and then gray, brown, maybe like dark green. Really, burnt orange is like the only color in there. So, oh, I do have one red sweater that I really like. But anyway, I decided it was time to start doing some more brighter colors, because why not? Life is short, wear bright blue. And so part of the reason that I haven't talked about this in a long time is because I thought that I had made it too small. Because I mean, when you knit cables, everything really slurps together. So it looked child size. It was comical how small it looked. Okay, my apologies, we got cut off there. I ran out of camera storage because I've just yapped too much. The end goal point here was that I put it on hold because I wanted to block it. I ironically did that probably 6 inches back in the body, and I was like, oh, you know, it's probably not gonna fit, but then I just kind of kept going anyway. Long story short, it fits fine. So we got the A-okay to go ahead on that one. So I'm really excited to see how this works up. Honestly, it wasn't taking too long for being completely cables, and I think the pattern, like the stitch pattern, looks so cool. So yeah, here we are. We're looking good. I'm excited about that one. And I think that is everything I have for us today. Keep an eye out for a test call for that colorwork sweater in the next couple months. Let me know if you have any questions that you want me to answer if I do a questions video. And get ready in a few months to be bombarded with Iceland content. If you have been to Iceland, or if you live there, or if you know people who live there, give me recommendations, because I've never been and I want to do some yarn things and I want to go to some yarn shops, but I love to hike. I want to see the sights. I unfortunately don't have time to do the entire road trip loop around the entire island, which I do want to go back and do at some point. So let me know. Tell me what Icelandic yarns I should get. I'm so excited. I'm like foaming at the mouth thinking about Icelandic wool. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're a real one. We'll see you next time. Bye. Go look up the Lorax on TikTok if you haven't, because you will laugh. It's so funny.